because there are some things that can be in that equation that you are not aware of, that are spiritual. Now, if you don't have those kind of factors, all things being equal, your 1 + 1 can equal to 2. That's the law of the flesh. So if it's a question of success, impact, philanthropy, fame, you want to be the next Funke Akindele, or you want to be the next any of these names, you don't need God. Just be sure that in the equation of your life, 1 + 1 equals to 2. You will get it. Hallelujah. But it's a question of fulfilling the purpose and the mandate of God for your life. There is nowhere else to run. It's only in God. Now, many people came to God because of a challenge or a problem in their lives. Then when they come, God solves their problem. And after God has solved it, we now begin to explain to them that there is more in God than solving your problem. Then we begin to take them through a process we call discipleship to now show them that there is more to your problems. There is more. So we begin to show them there is a matter called destiny. There is a design for your life in God that you need to access so that you can fulfill it. And it does not need to be popular. It doesn't need to bring you fame. You know, Jesus, as famous as he was, I've said it here before, they didn't know him outside of the areas of Israel. How do you know that? He wasn't that popular. He was a local popular man. So they knew him, let's say he's in Ondo now, they knew him across all the neighboring states. That's all. So, nobody came to look for him like they came to look for Solomon. You know, the Queen of Sheba, all the way from Africa to Asia, the woman traveled. Only God knows how many days she spent on the road, or how many months she spent on the road. Okay. You know, we traveled, I think, to Kenya some weeks ago. And usually, our staff in the office usually go with us for any kind of traveling. So, we decided that, okay, since this one is far, so even if you want to go by road, like how long will it take? This is within Africa. So we went to check the distance and how long it would take. If they did not sleep at all and they traveled by road, they will spend 5 days. I mean, no stops, no sleep, just straight journey by car. Now, if a queen does not travel on horses, they are pulled by camels. They will be going slowly and slowly and slowly. So you can imagine how many. That's why Jesus was angry with those guys. He said, the Queen of Sheba, she will judge you. That she traveled all the way from Ethiopia. She traveled all the way to listen to the wisdom of Solomon. He said, but there is one greater than Solomon here, and you did not hear. Hallelujah. So, he wasn't that popular. That's my point. But he fulfilled God's purpose for his life. And these are things that you must die to. When you die to them, it does not matter what is happening in your life. You will always have a need for God. You get my point? So the question of what happened in your life will no longer be relevant. The question of Is it, are things going on fine? Or are things going on well? Are things, am I in Nigeria? Or am I in UK? Or am I, because some of you will travel out now by next year. This year, some of you are, your visa is already approved. You are just looking at me and smiling. We just hear now that, boom, boom, Otilo. So, like I was saying, that an average Nigerian now has a need for God because of challenges. When you think that I need to travel, and you think of that, I could be kidnapped, I could have an accident, all kinds of things can happen. Nobody will beg you to pray, especially if you now had one dream that night. The way you pray that morning, But then, when all of these things have been removed, there is one thing that remains constant, is the matter of destiny. So as long as you know that the only way to be able to execute and prosecute my destiny is while I am in God, you will pray. You will pray. Because if you stay away, even if you started with God, you know the funny thing? If you started walking with God and you are going to, for example, you are going to this NTA year. But when you started, the journey began with God. Now, if along the way you did not carry God along again, you will miss your way. And even if you get there, you will have gotten there in the wrong way and at the wrong time. There was the story of how the man first landed on the moon. Today we are hearing all kinds of conspiracy theory, whether they really landed or not. That's a question for another day. But then a man of God said he was speaking to one of the astronauts who those who flew the rocket and all of those that landed on the plane on the moon. And then he said he always thought that immediately they took off from Earth and aimed at the moon, they just kept on going, and they just landed like that on the moon. So later the man said, no. He said they were doing what they call course correction every 3 minutes. What does that mean? It means that after 3 minutes, that's the moon they are going to. They took off with a shot from Earth to go to the moon. But every 3 minutes, that is the moon, they are already like this. So they have to turn back again. After 3 minutes, they are already like this. He said that there was even a time they are almost backing the moon. I'm getting something. That if you don't abide and continue steadfastly, you won't know. You were going to God before, you were going to destiny before, you will have gone away from destiny, you'll be chasing something else. To the only place where destiny can be fulfilled. Jesus said, without me, you can do nothing of eternal value. Nothing of eternal consequence. So prayer is a need. If you know that you need God, you will pray. Hallelujah. Number 3. Prayer as a discipline. Prayer as a discipline. Now, what's number 1? What's number 1? Prayer as a what? What's number 2? Now, what's number 3? Prayer as a discipline. Now, if you know prayer as a relationship, and you know prayer as a need, and you don't know prayer as a discipline, you will still suffer. You will not know you will know in your head that you need to pray. You know, you will know. An average human being today knows they are not praying enough, and yet they are still not praying more. Did you pray enough last year? Was it in December you noticed you were not praying enough? When did you know you were not praying enough? From the beginning. So you know, but you have been schooled enough to know that you have stayed in church, you have listened to Pastor Atabo enough to know that you need to pray more. But even at that, even though you know you need to pray more, you are still not praying. Because prayers must be engaged with discipline. It must be engaged. Now, there are, you must have heard teachings on, in fact, there are people who, for some strange reasons, they discourage long prayers. For some very strange reasons. Like, why are you people doing why are you wasting time? Time to be spent in mental work, in economic hour. So there are people who, I don't know, for some Christians, not unbelievers. If it's an unbeliever now, we can understand. But Christians, for some very strange reasons, they discourage it. And I think that one of the reasons is also, maybe there are abusers of prayers. There are people who, I would say, who are extremists. They are probably not doing any other thing in their life. They just want to say they want to pray and pray and pray and pray and pray. And meanwhile, like I said before, they are not really engaging God. So maybe, I don't know, maybe. But like I said when I started, if you ever think praying long is not necessary, just look at Jesus. It's that simple. If you ever feel a need that I don't need to pray long, just ask yourself, then why did Jesus pray long? If there's anyone who does not need to pray long, it's Jesus. Yet, what did he do? He prayed long. So for me, that is an argument that silences that matter. The matter is finished on arrival. Now, some of those who have heard some, fair speaking preachers who say things like it is wrong to time your prayers, things like that. Like if you are relating with somebody, you don't time your communication with them. Like when I come to visit Pastor Atabo, I won't say, Pastor, we have just 15 minutes to talk. So that when I come to visit him, 1 hour we are still talking, we are still discussing. Because of number one point of prayer. What do I call it? Relationship, right? Now, take for example, you have a wife. People use that as an example almost all the time. That when you have a wife, you talk to them for all through the day, you don't even check your time. And these things they sound very logical and convincing, but they did not consider some other factors. Now, the factor they did not consider is that you and your wife, you are physically at home with each other. They don't consider that. Number two, they didn't consider is that it is easy to make out time because especially when you are in a relationship. I'm sure many of you who are married or who are in a relationship, you can relate. that when you are in love, you will be talking and talking and talking and talking, right? Even though you are not physically present with each other, you talk a lot. I remember my wife and I, we did this CUG. They said it is unlimited. They lied to us.